Do you ever wonder what your purpose in life is? What did God create you to do? I know I've wondered that for myself. But we never have to worry because God has a plan for us. He says in Jeremiah 29, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." My name is Nicole Morgan, and I want to introduce you to a story of finding purpose and making dreams become a reality, which is a part of God's plan for each of us. In this video, you will meet Dr. Aaron Cenero, Chief Bariatric Surgeon at Texoma Medical Center in Denison, Texas. He's been in practice for 17 years. He's a native of Sherman, Texas, where he lives with his beautiful family. Dr. Cenero is a man of faith and shares that faith with his patients and to those around him. He's not your typical doctor, and he's certainly not your typical songwriter. His story will inspire you and give you that affirmation that God has a plan and a purpose for you if you have faith and you stay open to doing His perfect will for your life.
My passion for music, I think looking back over my life, I loved Christian music in our church. We were a very talented church that does a lot of songs, and when I was growing up, that was my favorite part of the service. I can remember wanting to write a song when I was a kid, but that never went anywhere. But also liked secular music and was always had something on in the car. And so I love music. But a few years ago, we started preaching in our church, and I was asked to start preaching on Sunday nights, and I began thinking about my passion for music. And in our church, we have so many talented people that can do so many talented things, singing, playing instruments. And one night I just was preaching and I said, I think we should write our own songs. I believe that God gave us all the talent in the world, and it seems like He focused a lot of that musical talent in our church. And I really felt like somebody should write songs that we could all sing. And then I didn't really think much about that. And then one night I was on call. I'm a general surgeon, of course. And I was on call that night, and I was having a dream. And the dream was a church filled with people worshiping, and Nicole Morgan was actually the one singing it. She also sings at our church, also my sister-in-law. And the only words I heard her say were "new vessel," and at the end, "salvation." And I had a phone call at 1:30 in the morning from the hospital, and I was so mad that I was woken up. I didn't finish the dream. I answered the phone call and hung up, and it was trying to go back to sleep. And the moment I closed my eyes, words just started downloading in my mind that actually rhymed, which was not usual for me. And I just got my phone out and started writing on my iPhone what I remember it said. And then I would go, well, I got to get back to sleep. I close my eyes again, and then more lyrics would come, or words, and I wrote those down. And this went on for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I didn't think much of it. I actually kind of forgot about it until a few nights later it happened again. The rest of the song that God was giving, I think, and I wrote those down. And I gave those words to a girl in our church, Katie Dupuy, who's fantastic at writing music and playing the piano. And she said, yeah, let me look at those lyrics and I'll see if I can turn it into a song. And within a week, she had a melody, and that was a song called "New Vessel," which we haven't put out and we're still working on. But that was the very first experience of actually writing something that turned into a song. After that, a few months later, I was walking around. I was going through a difficult time at the hospital. We were right in the middle of COVID, everyone was tired and worn out, and a lot of people wanting to leave the profession, and I wasn't immune to that either. There was a lot of times that it was a struggle. And I can remember sitting in my chair at home going, I think I just want to give up. I don't want to do this anymore. And the lyric came, there are storms in life that make you feel like giving up. The winds began to blow and it's hard to hold on. And I wrote that, but at the same time, I also was just walking around the house and I realized that God created us in His image, in His likeness, in His glory, with all the dominion and power. Genesis 1:26 says He made us in His image and that He gave us dominion over every circumstance and everything on earth. And I saw it. Mountains weren't created to move us, we were created to move them. And I wrote that down. And from that, I just began to go back to the beginning, which I think we all should do when we're in bad places in times, is go back to the original intent that God had for us and revisit that. And I go back to Genesis and just remember, He made us, the only thing He ever created, He made us with His own hands. Nothing else was made with God's hands but us. And He made us to succeed and not to fail. And going back to that and feeling I want to give up, I had to go back to my original purpose, and I had to kind of reattach to that. And I think songwriting is a lot about just writing down what you feel in a moment, even a little bit vulnerable. You really want to say these things, especially as a surgeon. General surgeons, we don't really have emotions, not supposed to. But we do, and we feel all these things, and God knows that we do. We feel these things, and He wants us to remember who we are, and that there was nothing else on earth like us, and He loved us enough. And so I went back and reread creation, and then I reread the Gospels, and I realized He came back to demonstrate to us, because we had forgotten how He had created us and given us dominion in the garden. When we turned from Him, we forgot. We lost the knowledge of who we were. And Jesus came back and He showed us the power that's inside of us. And so He demonstrated all those things. He healed people, He delivered people. There were miracles He did that inspire us today. But he didn't say, I'm the only one that can do this. He says, this power will also be in you. You'll do greater works than these. And I think that's a good message for everyone, that go reach to the stars and try to do your best, because somebody is looking at you and watching you, and you may inspire someone to do something they never thought they could do. And I think that's what being a Christian is about. I think that's what's being in this world and having, harmony and good nature towards one another, is that we celebrate people's successes and we pick people up when they fail. And all of us have certainly failed at times, but Christ uses typically the broken to show His glory and His honor. And so some people may be broken, some people may be tired, some people may want to give up. And I'm hoping this song that we wrote, that I wrote with Katie, reaches people, that they realize who they are and that they can do anything, and we can do all things through the power of Christ. Yeah, to sum everything up, Mountains song was something I think God inspired. It's a message for everyone that God created us all. We're all equal. He even took the time to create us with His hands, and I think handmade things are always more valuable. And He wants you to know He never makes a mistake. Even though sometimes we fail, sometimes we fall, but He always wants to be there to pick you up. He created us to succeed and not to fail. He created our bodies that way. He created our minds that way. And we need to encourage each other. When someone's down and they feel bad, try to pick them up and remind them that God never makes a mistake, and He wants everyone to have a wonderful, happy life here on earth.